My name's Adam, and this is Simon. Welcome to Antique Auto. Today's project is a 65 Riviera Gran Sport. I'm not sure if it's real, it probably is. I did a cut and buff on this thing 2 years ago, and he finally got it put together. He brought it back to me because he's got a Driveline vibration that he can't figure out, neither can anybody else. So I figured I'd take it on and see if we could work some magic. Let's take a look a little closer. All right. I drove this car last week, and I felt it. It's hard to explain. It's not really hard to explain, but it feels to me like it's in the drive shaft. It's got that, the RPMs feel like it's in a drive shaft and not wheels. It's only apparent at lower speeds. I'm sure you can't tell anything on this video, but you're gonna have to take my word for it. Actually, it feels pretty good right now. It's funky. And I'll test drive it around a little bit and see if I can feel something else. Well, my thought hasn't changed on the thought about the vibration at low speeds, but now there's a chatter that feels like it's in the brakes when I come to a stop. Yeah, so I think where I'm going to start is I'm just going to get it up on jacks and look at it under the car. I know that he has had the drive shaft replaced, all the U-joints replaced, the rear end has been gone through. He took it to a transmission guy to see if he could find whatever's going on here, and with no luck. So I'm going to show you what I think it is, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's get under this thing. So we have brand new drive shaft that had even taken it out again to rebalance. New U-joints, rear end's been gone through. What they ended up doing, I gotta be careful I don't fry my arms. There was a center carrier bearing in here that they converted to one from a Chevy C10 or something. So it's a different carrier bearing, but I don't know. I really can't see this very well, but there's a little bit of play. It feels like this thing's a little too wobbly in the middle, and that's the only thing I can find in the Driveline that might be causing this issue. So before I rip the drive shaft out, I want to look at the rear drums and see if I can see something catching or something weird there. Well, we have spacers. Makes me wonder if that is causing any sort of vibration or something, because they're not centered. You can't center them. I'm gonna hold that thought. Keep going. Back on the brakes. So when I pulled the drum off earlier, I found this. The shoes don't look in terrible condition, but this one, it's hard to see in the video, but it's got some cracking all the way through it. And with this chunk missing, I'm not sure I trust what's going on in here. The drum looks good, but I'm going to take them to the shop and have them do a light cleanup turn on them. And I'm hoping that these shoes that I've got, they're 2-inch shoes as opposed to 1 3/4, will work. They fit really nicely. They're arced really well to it. But I'm going to go ahead and assemble it and see if the drum doesn't lock up with the bigger shoes on it. So, yay. So we're an inch away on both sides. Interesting. All right. We'll try putting them on the ground and seeing how much side-to-side play there is. There's got to be a reason why we're hitting there. Maybe it was just due to before they put the spacers in or something, but it seems awfully weird. Nothing there. I'm just going to take this thing for a test drive, see how it goes. See if I get rid of that brake chatter problem. Before I forget to shoot the video of this, I pulled the drive shaft out and the carrier bearing is completely ripped. So, brand new drive shaft. I don't get it. So, call the drive shaft shop. They're gonna have it fixed for me tomorrow, so I'm gonna drop it off to them today. All right, fast forward about a week. She got back from Vegas yesterday. Picked up the drive shaft, and I forgot to take the wheel chocks out. So I had the carrier bearing replaced on the drive shaft with a polyurethane bearing. Well, it's kind of a bearings encased in polyurethane basically instead of rubber. And the guy that replaced it said that since I have a slip yoke on both sides of the drive shaft, that this is the best option. It'll take care of all the any ripping rubber. We'll let this thing warm up for another minute or so, then we'll run it up and down the street a little bit. All right, let's do it. Well, I got bad news, which is I suspected. It has a pretty massive vibration. I think what happened is that the carrier bearing is slightly too far forward, and there's not enough room between the carrier bearing and the yoke at the rear end. So because when I was putting it in, I went ahead and bolted up the two bolts on the carrier bearing, and there was not enough room for me to push the drive shaft forward in that slip joint to be able to bolt up the U-joint on it. So unless I put the rear end in the loaded position, which is probably not a good thing. So I'm gonna call the Driveshaft place and see if we can take another look at it. Unfortunately, they're like an hour drive away, so it's probably gonna be on the jacks for another day. Okay, getting down and dirty in here. So I checked fore and aft play when I took off the straps for the U-joint, and there was about a 1/2 inch of play there. The Driveshaft guy said that should be fine. But I also did notice, let me turn this thing where you can see it. I've already done the work, but so I'll get you in here. The threads for the pinion gears were sticking out far enough to push the U-joint out just enough to where it would kind of cause one side to be out, pushed out too far, and then I would drive it in and there would be, I don't know, it wouldn't be equalized, and the Driveshaft guy thinks that could be the issue. So I went ahead and ground down the threads just enough to keep it to where there was about a 1/16 of an inch between the U-joint and the threads of the pinion. So we're gonna get this thing back on the ground and take it for another test drive. Well, I think we got it licked nice and smooth. No vibration at all. This should make the customer happy. So he has been, this has been about a year, maybe a year and a half of issues with this thing. So he had a new Driveshaft made because the CV joint, the original CV joint in the Driveshaft was trashed, and you can't get parts for those anymore. So they basically just made a new custom Driveshaft for him and put that crummy rubber C10 carrier bearing in. And if you put a rubber bearing in, or let me get my story straight here. If you put that carrier bearing in that has the rubber isolator in it, and you have a slip joint on both sides of the bearing, then it will have a tendency to rip the bearing rubber. That's what was told to me. So what we ended up doing was we put the polyurethane carrier bearing in, and that was supposed to be the fix, and it did. It fixed it. It fixed the big problem, and then I ended up with that goofy pinion thread issue. So I think we're home now. So I will call the customer and have him pick it up. Okay, after 5 days in lost wages and a canceled plane flight, we were back home at 2:30 this morning, so I'm a little tired. I'm gonna call the customer and get him out here to pick the car up, but that's gonna do it for me today. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, tell our friends and family, neighbors, etc. I'll see you on the next video. Instructions per car owner. Drive the piss out of the car and make sure it works. Happy to.